Hi friends, today's topic is how the bike and car work with respect to the Newton laws. I'm not explaining briefly for the Newton's laws. Please read the statement, just pass and read. And these are the examples. For the first law, I went to the supermarket. On that time, the grocery wheelchair is stationary. If I am applying the force, it is moving from one position to initially it was in stationary position, this position, and after applying the force, it was moving. He shifted the one place to another place. This is the best example. Or else you can take. I have a Royal Enfield bike. Before it was in stationary position because I am taking the bike for to the my office because it was in initial position. Because after taking the vehicle to my office, it was changed the position, right? Initially it was constant position. For the second example, because if I am going to somewhere on the time office only, the Royal Enfield bike is stopped because of the no more petrol in that petrol tank. On that time, I was pulling more force, isn't it? Because Royal Enfield is more white and its consumption is consuming more fuel. Why? Because the white is more. That's why it's consuming more petrol, but the comfortable wise it is good. That's why people are using for the comfortable purpose, not at all matter for the petrol. Yeah, if I am using the splendor bike, on that time I am applying the less force. Why? Because compared to Royal Enfield, it has less mass, that means it has less weight. That's why I am pulling the bike with a less force. Here I am pulling the bike with more force for the Royal, and this is the Royal Enfield bike, and this is the splendor what I'm given the example. Because why the petrol consumption is less for the splendor bike? Because it has a less weight, that's why it is consuming um, less petrol. Here it is more weight, that's why consuming more petrol, but the comfortable wise Royal Enfield is the best one. Why? Because the balance force is normal. Here balance force is not at all normal, because if the both see, if I am riding a bike with mine and my friend is riding with I am going to we are going to the Goa on that time, um, with the 80 120 kilometer per hour. On that time, the Royal Enfield bike will not at all sliding or anything, drifting or pulling. But Splendor bike is drifting or pulling. Or if anything is happened, definitely the person will not at all know more. But Royal Enfield will less injuries for that time. That's why Royal Enfield is the best one for the traveling. If the what are the example for Pulsar or else if said if whatever the more white white vehicles, that would be the good for traveling. Just I'm taking the example like it is because grocery here the example is grocery which is before it was in empty position, after it was easily to pull. After once it is pulled with the once it is with the groceries, it's difficult to pull. That is the best example. That's why force is always to directly proportional mass and acceleration. Acceleration, we already know the formula, velocity by time, that means meter per second. Here it is the mass, that means we could call it as mass, nothing but say kg or byte. No worries, no issues, guys. Don't confusion about that one. That's why for the more mass we are applying the more force. For the less mass we are applying the less force. That's it. For that Allah we are already know about every action there should be a reaction. Without key we are not at all starting the. I am not at all going to start the bike without key, isn't it? Without start the engine, I will not at all ride the bike, or else without in an exam without reading I can't pass the exams. These are the example for the Newton's law. Based on Newton's laws, how cars and bikes are working. Without engine work, the car is not at all moving, as well as the bike is not at all moving. These are the best example for the Newton's law. Based on the Newton's law only, the Baron Cole invented the bicycle, as well as the um, Daimler invented the motorbike, and Carl Benz invented the car. Just let's see, going to the core topic for the how the car is working. See, we already aware about the how the bicycle is working, and these are all the parts. Better to see the parts. I will not explain. We are already know about that. We are already aware how the bicycle should be there. Here what I am showing is a bicycle. After pulling the force from the leg only, the cycle is how the bicycle is moving forward depending upon the this one. This is the crank, guys, and after applying the force from the leg, it is downwards and it is rotating. And this wheel is rotating. This wheel is called as crank. Whatever the shaft is rotating, that should be, we could call it as a crank. In engine also it should be crank only, because my mechanical students already know about these things. After once the rotator of the crank, make it of that crank by using of this sprocket chain. The another wheel is rotating. See, make use of this chain. The chain is into one more gear, that make use of that one. This wheel is rotating. If the wheel is rotating forward, make use of this wheel. The front wheel also rotating. Otherwise, this wheel is not a rotation. Why? Because the front wheel is stationary. Make use of this force is moving. See, if I am swimming on that time, we are always used to pull backward hand. Otherwise, I will not know moving in the pond or river. Isn't it? Even boat also. After backwards of the poles, um, the boat is moving forward away with the river. These are the best example. That's why um, this is the basic example. Like that, we make here it is the like I am using in car petrol. Make use of petrol. The bike and car is moving. This is the basic criteria. This is the basic criteria. That's what scientists are inventing. Make use of bicycle only. Next, I will go into the topic. Make I know you are understanding the topic, how the bike is working. Then it will be very easier for explaining for the car and bike how it is working for me. See, already I told how the bicycle is working. After pulling the force from the leg, the make use of crank. One more wheel is rotating. After once the rotating, the front wheel also rotating. This is the criteria for the bicycle. And why we are using the engine? Because in bicycle make use of wheel by manual force we are using. In vehicles also, in bike also we are using the manual force. After once we are putting the force from the pedal or else pedal, engine is rotating. By make use of the fuel, make use of fuel is converted as a mechanical power. After mechanical power, make use of mechanical power, the car and bike is moving forward. See, for example, how the engine is operating. See, here consider, I will take for example, this is the tank of the bike. After this is the tank, the petrol is filled here. See, the petrol is coming, the, the petrol is flowing through the pipe to the inlet pump. By you make use of carburetor, it coming from the port. Here petrol is flowing, because I will, before that I will explain the cylinder how it is. This is the piston, guys. This is the crank, that like that I mentioned in the bicycle, that is the crank, and this is the shaft, and this whole circle is the uh, crank. This is the connecting rod, this is the piston, and overall cylinder is called bore, you could call it as. And this is the inlet port, this is the outlet port. I will let you know. See, I will tell. See, here it is initially the petrol is come into the suction port. After that, what will if the force is more, that's why the piston initial position was this one. After once it is inlet, the piston moving from shift the position from top into bottom end. Here the crank is rotating for the 1/4. That means it is smallly rotate. It is slowly rotated from one position to another position. It is not at all completely rotating for the one cycle. After that, once it is rotating, on the compensation cycle is happening from pushing the petrol. After here, the spark by the pedaler, that means whatever you are giving the force from the pedaler, that directly going to the by making use of battery, the spark plug is operating. After once the petrol and air is present, it are directly burning out, and This crankshaft is rotating for the one cycle, and whatever the smoke is there, it is coming out from the muffler. This is after completing all the cycle, the crankshaft is rotating one cycle. From this crankshaft, make the Chinese using this. This is crankshaft. Consider this is the shaft. This is the crankshaft. This is nothing but a pedal. What I mentioned this in the bicycle. Make use of a chain system. It will connect it to the back wheel. Connect it to the back wheel, and then it is moving forward, as well as make use of rear wheel. The front wheel also moving forward, like the bike is a bike, motorbike is working, guys. See, I will show here. If you are not to log it, I will show from the picture as well. See, this is the engine arrangement, and these are all the engine, because the most common engine is the inline vertical engine, and most of the vehicles are using this engine only. This is the V type engine, that's why this is the V shape, that's why we are call it as V type engine. And this is the horizontal engine. This always should be a parallel position. Engine always should be in the horizontal position, and this is the opposite cylinder. Why? Because the cylinder is always opposite with opposite each other. That's why it will be called it an opposite cylinder engine. And it should be why it is called W type engine, because its shape is W type. That's why it is called it as W type engine. And it is a rotary type, radial type, circle type. That's why we are calling as radial engine. The most common engine is the inline vertical engine for all the vehicles. For the V type and W type, post and before the Benz are using for these types of engines. Just I'm briefly explain the engine, how it will be the um, this is the gear arrangement. Because why the gear arrangement? Because if the speed is more on that time, we if the speed is if the cycle is moving up, I will take the example from the cycle only. Definitely will get, if the cycle is moving upward, on that time speed will be reduced, but the torque should be more. Why? Because the rotation should, the torque is nothing but a work done with respect to the perpendicular force and with respect to the radius, because the speed is less if the bike is moving upward. Why? Because the speed is less, the torque is more. That's why for the first gear, the speed is less, the torque is more. If the speed is more on that time, what will be? This will be missed chances of cutting of the chain. That's why the speed is less for the first. I will take the example. I will show for the inward side. For the upward, that will be speed is less and torque is for the inward. The speed is more and torque is less. I will show. And these are the types of gears: spiral gear, helical gear, double spherical gear. Because I will explain in new slide, it will take more time for me. See, this is the bike and parts. Please go through the slide and see after one side. Already I told how it is working for the bike. It is very simple. The petrol is present. The petrol is present here. After, this is the engine, and in behind, see, initially this is the pedal, right? After pressing the pedal by the leg, the first manually working. After make use of the battery, the spark plug. Here some spark, I already explained the rotor engine, right? The spark plug. From the petrol tank, the fuel is flowing. The fuel is flowing, and from make use of a carburetor, the air and fuel is coming to the section port. All the stroke, if all the strokes are happen, make use of with the help of spark plug, the combustion exhaust stroke is also happen. If all the strokes are happen, the crankshaft is rotating for the one cycle. The make use of crankshaft. Here consider the position. This is the shaft, and make use of, this is the one. chain sprocket, and this is the one more gear system. Make use of this crankshaft rotation. The gear system is there. I will explain the gear system as well. This vehicle is moving from forward, and the make use of rear wheel, front wheel is moving forward. Okay, how the gear system is working, we'll explain you. Okay. Okay, I will take the example here. Once the engine, I will explain. For this is the engine, and this is the clutch system, and this is the control system, how the gear operating in the car, and this is the clutch pedal. Because after once we apply the clutch, it will not at all directly contact with the crankshaft and the clutch assembly. Why? Because we are changing the speed from lower end to higher end, or higher end to lower end. On that time we are switching with the clutch. See, for the example, for the first thing, if you are applying the clutch on that, how it would be. The crankshaft is not at all, the crankshaft will disengage while pressing. After once it is pressed, it is engaged with that. What are the forces generated from the gear shaft? Here it is a shaft and is coupling with the clutch. This power is transmitted from this gear teeth. We already did a video for the gear ratio. Please see in the description section. Therefore, here the ratio N1 by N1, N1 T1 is equal to N2 T2. That means N is the um, number of RPM and how much rotating, how the crankshaft is rotating, and T is the number of the teeth. Here I am showing here whatever the crankshaft is rotating, whatever the gear is rotating, what are the force is rotating from this end to this is the dog clutch, friends. For the first gear, observe carefully, friends. This is the first gear. This is the first gear. See, the thing is the what if the if this is a small side, it will require more force the upper side. That's why the speed is less for the first gear. That's why speed is less. Already I told for the upward the speed is less and torque is more here. For the second gear, if the speed is increasing on that, what would be applied? Here they mounted as a large gear compared to the first gear. Here it is a mine shaft. What is mine shaft is compared to this one? This is less only. That's why the speed is increasing. Here the speed is increasing and torque is reducing for the second gear. After once we get if I want more speed compared to the second gear, I will switch over from the clutch pedal. This is disengaging. After it will directly to come back to this position, come directly from back to the this one. Before the dog clutch is not at all. This dog clutch is there, right? On that time, this is engaged with this one. Third gear, like the um, gear system is working. After for the fifth gear, how it for the fourth gear, how it is working. Let's see the both gears are for the mine gear and the driven gear is always should be the same. That's why the speed is constant with respect to the input, and this is the input. Whatever the gear is, it is same as it is with like one. That's why we are getting the same out. Whatever the input is given, the output we are getting the same output. Getting the same out. That's why the speed is more for the fourth gear, but the torque is less because friction is less for that. Because in upwards we are using the first gear. Why? Because we are needing the more work. That's why. For the downwards, for the downward road, we need the less force. That's why we are applying. We are riding the bike with the less speed. Sorry, more speed and less torque. Like the gear mechanism is working, friends. Here, for the car differential is why we are using the differential, because of the we are giving the same power for rotating the backward wheels. I will explain here how the engine will be. um, For the car, engine is mounted. I already told how the engine will be. So here, crankshaft is rotating from the engine. The crankshaft is rotating here. Here, the crankshaft. Consider this is the crankshaft here. What I am showing from the transmission system or gate system. This is the gate. Consider this is the gate system. From the gate system, that means first gear, second gear, third gear. Already I told what I am explaining. This power is transmitted from the drive shaft to the differential. of once the wheel is rotating, only front wheel is rotating, right? That's why we are using differential for power transmitting to the vehicles moving or rotating. Why the engine is used? Because from the reciprocating motion of the piston, that would be a crankshaft is uh, rotary motion, rotating rotary motion. For make use of that crankshaft rotation, this gear ratio is using. And from the gear ratio, why we are using? Because of we need more speed and comfortability, we are using the gear. From the gear system, transmission system, drive shaft is mounted to the differential. Why? Because we want to rotate the wheel, back wheel rotation, because the vehicle want to move. Okay, from the differential, same force is applying to the wheel. Hence, once the rear wheel rotating, the vehicle is also moving forward like that. Gear is moving. If for the reverse gear, the idle gear is used. On that time, the car is moving backward. On that time, wheel is rotating like this, backward, and this wheels also with respect to back rear wheel. The car is rotating. You see the example. See the how the differential would be. This is the differential from the transfer. I already explained about how the gear would be, and these are the parts of the car, friends. And we already know about how the car would be. This is the tire, this is the door, this is the handle, and this should be called a bonnet or else hood, we could call it as. And this would be the uh, front page, we could call it as the windshield, and the backward rear wheel, and this is the roof, friends, sunroof, or we could also, this is the inside, we have a seats, and backward we call it as boot and tailgate. And the engines and transmission system mounted on the chassis. I will explain the chassis in the next video, how the working should be on the suspension, and how the differential should be. And this is the differential from the drive shaft. From the drive shaft. Okay, I will explain from here. From the spur gear is there, right? What is it? Where is it? From the from this gear, mid gear, or else from spiral vertical bevel gear. Make use of that gear. The power is transmitted to the wheels. Hence, the wheels is back. Rear wheels is rotating. Why? Because the spur gears are always gear and the teeth are parallel. That's why we could call it as, most of the vehicles use it as for the spur gear only. And helical gear, for an angle 35 degrees, 60 degrees, the helical gears are using here. And already explained, this engine, the crankshaft is rotating gear. Make use of the gear system. The power is transmitted to the differential. This is the differential what I shown in the picture. From the differential, the rear wheel is moving, as well as the from the make use of rear wheel, front wheel is moving for the car. Um, this is how car and bike is working, friends. If you like this, please hit the like. If you have any doubts, please let me know in the comment section as well, because we have did Kannada and English videos regarding mechanical. Please see the videos. I will add it in the description section. And thank you for watching this video, friends. Thank you very much.